If you've ever felt like your prayers are hitting a wall, never reaching their destination, if you've ever questioned why God seems silent when you're pouring out your heart to Him, it's not because He isn't listening. It's because you haven't been taught the true way Jesus prayed. The Church hasn't just misunderstood prayer. It has completely reversed its essence, turning it upside down. Jesus' method of prayer was so revolutionary, so challenging to established religious authority, that truly understanding it would eliminate your need for their institutions, their rituals, and their approval. And that's precisely why they suppressed it. Stay with me. Over the next 20 minutes, you'll not only learn about prayer, but also be initiated into a hidden path. This path transforms you from a mere beggar at the gates of heaven into the very answer you've been seeking all along. But be warned, this isn't your typical Sunday school lesson. The revelations you're about to uncover will shatter your preconceived notions about communicating with the divine. 7 key understandings are about to be revealed. First, we'll explore why your prayers haven't been working as you were taught, and expose the lie that has kept you powerless. Second, we'll discover the secret place Jesus referred to, which is not where you think it is. Third, we'll examine why Jesus prayed before performing miracles, not afterward. Fourth, we'll discuss a crucial aspect of Jesus' practice that is rarely mentioned today. Fifth, we'll delve into the true meaning of becoming the prayer. Sixth, we'll uncover why this teaching was deemed so dangerous that it had to be concealed. And seventh, we'll explore an activation that will forever change how you connect with God. But first, why does prayer often feel like shouting into a void? You know that feeling. The desperate prayer uttered in the dark of night when your world is crumbling, the bargaining with God when faced with a grim diagnosis, the endless repetition of words that seem to vanish into nothingness. You've been there. We all have. Kneeling beside a hospital bed, whispering, "Please," until your throat is raw. Standing in an empty home after a loved one has left, begging God to bring them back. Lying awake at 3 a.m., reciting every Bible verse you can recall, hoping one will finally unlock heaven's door. You were told to repeat the correct phrases, to beg with proper humility, to trade good behavior for God's favor. Say your Hail Marys, recite your Psalms, speak in tongues, claim your promises. And yet, despite your sincerity, your tears, and your adherence to every religious formula, you felt unheard, unseen, abandoned. But Jesus foresaw this 2,000 years ago. He said, "Do not heap up empty phrases as the Gentiles do, for they think they will be heard for their many words." Empty phrases, the very foundation of what most churches call prayer. Think about that. Jesus specifically cautioned against the kind of repetitive, verbose prayer that dominates many churches today. He labeled it empty, powerless, the practice of those who didn't grasp the true essence of divine connection. Here's the first revelation they never told you. Prayer is not repetition. Prayer is not begging. Prayer is not a performance intended to convince an absent God to love you. Prayer is a state of being. Before we delve any deeper, I want you to do something right now. Recall a specific instance when you prayed desperately and felt nothing but silence. Don't just think about it. Relive it. Feel the desperation, the emptiness that followed the questioning of God's very existence. Hold on to that memory. Don't suppress it. By the end of this teaching, you'll perceive that moment in an entirely new light. You'll come to understand that what felt like abandonment was in fact an invitation. Because if prayer isn't repetition, if it isn't petitioning, if it isn't the religious performance we were taught, then what was Jesus truly pointing to? Jesus said something that would deeply unsettle most pastors, something so radical that if their congregations truly understood it, the entire religious establishment would collapse overnight. When you pray, go into your inner room, shut the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Your inner room, not your bedroom closet, not your church pew, not some physical place where you can hide from the world. The inner room of your being, the secret chamber of consciousness, where no religious performance can reach, where no doctrine can penetrate, where no pastor or priest can mediate. In Solomon's temple, there was a sacred space called the Holy of Holies. Once a year on the Day of Atonement, only the high priest could enter this inner sanctuary to commune directly with the divine presence. It was the most sacred space on earth, separated from the outer courts, where common people gathered by a thick veil. But when Jesus died, something unprecedented occurred. The veil was torn from top to bottom, not from bottom to top as if human hands had ripped it, but from top to bottom as if God himself had torn open the barrier. Jesus didn't just grant you access to the Holy of Holies. He revealed that this sacred space, this direct access to the divine presence resides within you. It always has, and it always will. The great cosmic irony. You were looking outward for a God who dwells inward. You were seeking in temples built by human hands what was already constructed within the depths of your own being. The secret place isn't secret because it's hidden from you. It's secret because it's hidden as you. It's the deepest truth of who you are beneath all the noise, all the programming, all the religious conditioning. Close your eyes right now. I'm serious. If you're driving, bookmark this and come back to it later. But if you can close your eyes. Now imagine shutting a door. Not a physical door, but the door of your awareness. Shut out all the noise, the shoulds, the musts, the religious rules. Shut out the voices telling you you're not good enough, not holy enough, not faithful enough. What remains when you shut out everything that isn't you? Feel that stillness. That's not emptiness. That's not loneliness. That's the secret place Jesus spoke of. That's the inner room where the Father waits not as a distant deity, but as the deepest truth of your own being. If you've always felt like you don't belong in the religious crowd, if their worship feels empty and their prayers feel hollow, it's because you were never meant for their noise. You were called to this inner sanctuary. You were designed for this sacred solitude. But here's what's puzzling. Why did Jesus emphasize silence? Why not passionate pleas? Why not eloquent prayers that impress congregations? Why not spiritual performances that make others perceive you as holy? Because silence wasn't the ultimate goal. It was the gateway to something even more profound. Here's what the Gospels reveal that most completely overlook. Jesus followed a pattern. Before every major miracle, before every demonstration of divine power, before every moment when heaven touched earth, there was prayer. But look closer. Read between the lines. What was he actually doing in those moments? The Father knows what you need before you ask him. Stop. Ponder that for a moment. If the Father already knows your needs, every single one of them, before you even articulate the words, then what was Jesus' prayer truly accomplishing? Information transfer, nor persuasion? Absolutely not. Begging? Never. Jesus was engaged in something the religious world has completely lost sight of: alignment. Place your hand on your heart right now. Feel the rhythm that was bestowed upon you before you ever uttered a word, before you ever formulated a prayer. That rhythm, that steady, faithful beating, that is prayer. That is the divine expressing itself through your physical form, keeping you alive, sustaining you every moment, without you having to request it. Your heartbeat is God's prayer for you. Your breath is the Holy Spirit flowing through you. Your very existence is the Father saying yes to you every moment of every day. But Jesus took this even further. He didn't just align with what the Father was doing. He became what the Father was doing. And that's when the religious establishment grew apprehensive. What if I told you that Jesus never actually desired your prayers at all? He wanted something far more threatening to religion, something that would render you entirely independent of their systems. He wanted you to become the prayer. Before we unlock the next chamber, I need to address those of you who feel this awakening burning within your bones. Like this video as a signal fire, it is not simply pressing a button. It is an act of spreading the flame, a way of signaling to the hidden ones that the light still burns and they are not alone. Subscribe as a vow of remembrance. Every new soul that joins this path tells the controlling forces of this age that this truth must not be suppressed, that it must be carried into the awareness of those still searching in the dark. And when you do declare it in the comments with the words, "I am awakening," this is not merely text. It is a signal to connect with others on the same wavelength as you who are also awakening. Share this video as an offering. Each time you do, seeds are sown into the souls who are awaiting the call, who are hungry for the living fire that lies beyond religion's noise. Every action you take is more than just engagement. It is a code, a whisper to the unseen, declaring, "Send this light to the seekers. Let the sleepers awaken." Now breathe deeply. The next chamber doesn't offer more information. It opens the doorway to activation. Observe Jesus' life through a different lens. Truly see what's unfolding. His entire existence was prayer in motion. When he touched the leper, that was prayer. When he forgave the adulteress, that was prayer. When he fed the hungry, blessed the children, washed the disciples' feet, that was prayer. Not the prayer of words, not the prayer of religious ritual, but the prayer of embodiment, the prayer of being so aligned with divine love that every action becomes worship, every breath becomes communion, every moment becomes sacred. The ultimate inversion that religion fears. Most prayer is not something you say. Prayer is not something you do. Prayer is something you become. I and the Father are one. This wasn't theology. This wasn't a doctrine for seminary students to debate. This was the secret of living prayer, revealed complete alignment, total unity, no separation between the human will and the divine will, no gap between earth and heaven, no distance between the seeker and the sought. And here's why this terrified the religious authorities then, and why it still terrifies them now. If you become the prayer, if you embody divine love, if you walk in complete alignment with the Father's will, you don't need their buildings. You don't need their mediators. You don't need their permission to access God. You are the access point. Let's experience this together right now. Breathe with me. Not just the words, but the reality behind them. Silently, in the depths of your being, breathe this truth. I and the Father are one. Don't think it. Feel it. Let it resonate within your cells. Again, deeper now. I and the Father are one. One more time. Let it become your heartbeat. I and the Father are one. Don't analyze what just happened. Don't let your mind dissect it. Just feel the resonance, feel the recognition. Something within you remembers this truth. If you're still watching, if something within you is awakening to this remembrance, it's not by chance. You were never intended for the shallow prayers of repetition and petition. You were designed for something far more magnificent. You were meant to embody the prayer itself, to become the answer to every longing, the healing for every wound, the love that the world is desperately craving. But most people will never grasp this. They're still looking outward, still reaching upward, still begging at heaven's door, like spiritual orphans who don't realize they're already home. And there's a reason for that. There's a reason this truth was buried so deep that discovering it feels like recalling a forgotten dream. The secret has been guarded for a reason, and it's not the reason you suspect. Externalized prayer. The kind that reaches up to a distant God serves a purpose, but not the purpose they led you to believe. It keeps you dependent. It keeps you returning to their buildings week after week, tithing to their coffers, submitting to their authority. Consider this. If you truly understood that the kingdom of heaven resides within you, that the Holy of Holies is your own consciousness, that you are the temple of the living God, what would become of the religious establishment? It would collapse overnight. But inner prayer, living prayer, the prayer of embodiment that Jesus demonstrated, liberates you. Completely, radically, dangerously free from needing their approval, free from their guilt and shame tactics, free from their endless fundraising campaigns for larger buildings to house a God who was never confined to buildings in the first place. They taught you to reach upward because they needed you to believe God was distant. They taught you to beg because they needed you to believe you were unworthy. They taught you to repeat their formulas because they needed you to believe you couldn't access the divine directly. But Jesus revealed the opposite. Prayer isn't reaching up to heaven. Prayer is descending into the kingdom that has always been within you. And here's the part that will make your spirit soar with recognition. You've always known this. Somewhere deep inside, beyond all the religious programming, you've always sensed that true communion occurs in the secret place, in the silence, in the depths of your own being, where no human authority can reach. Every time organized religion felt hollow to you, every time their prayers felt empty, every time you left a service feeling more distant from God than when you entered, that wasn't your failing. That was your spirit recognizing counterfeit spirituality. If you've journeyed this far in this teaching, if something within you is resonating with these words, it's because you were never meant for spiritual mediocrity. You were never meant to be a spiritual consumer, passively sitting while others perform rituals on your behalf. You were intended for direct encounter, direct communion, direct embodiment of the divine nature that has always been your birthright. But knowing this intellectually isn't enough. There's one more step, the step that transforms understanding into experienced knowledge, into knowing, belief, into being. Here's what they never taught you in Sunday school. Jesus didn't spend most of his time in prayer postures. He spent most of his time being the prayer. Every act of compassion was communion with the Father. Every moment of forgiveness was worship. Every healing touch was a direct transmission of divine love made manifest in the physical realm. Jesus didn't merely pray for the hungry. He fed them, and that feeding was the prayer. He didn't just pray for the sick. He healed them, and that healing was the prayer. He didn't simply pray for the outcasts. He embraced them, and that embrace was the prayer. This is why they sought to kill him. Not because he claimed to be God, many did that, but because he demonstrated that the divine nature was accessible to everyone, that every human being could become a living prayer, a walking miracle, an embodiment of heaven on earth. The mystics called it the prayer without ceasing, that Paul wrote about not endless words, but a life so aligned with divine will that every breath becomes worship, every heartbeat becomes communion, every action becomes sacred service. We're going to experience this together right now, not as a mental exercise, but as a direct encounter with your true nature. Close your eyes. If you're in a situation where you can't do this, bookmark this moment and return when you can fully be present. Feel your breath. Don't alter it, simply observe it. This breath that's breathing you right now, this is the Holy Spirit, literally the same word Jesus used for spirit. Ruach means breath. You are being breathed by the divine every moment. Now place both hands on your heart. Feel that faithful rhythm. This heart that has beaten billions of times without you ever having to ask it to, without you ever having to earn it, without you ever having to be worthy of it. This is the Father's love for you, drumming steadily in your chest every moment of every day. Now, keeping your eyes closed, imagine rising to your feet and moving through your day, but walking as this prayer. Every step fueled by divine breath, every heartbeat echoing the Father's love, every word you speak carrying the resonance of heaven, every touch you offer, transmitting the healing presence of the living God. This isn't imagination. This isn't metaphor. This is who you actually are beneath all the conditioning, all the religious programming, all the lies about your unworthiness. You're the prayer the world has been waiting for. Open your eyes. Look around you. Everything you see, every person, every challenge, every broken place is waiting for a living prayer to touch it. And if you've followed this teaching to this point, if something within you has awakened to this truth, then you are that living prayer. The question isn't whether God will answer your prayers. The question is whether you'll answer God's prayer for the world, which is you walking in full awareness of who you truly are. If you've come this far, you need to understand something crucial about what has just happened to you. You weren't simply taught about prayer. You were initiated into a sacred rebellion that has been unfolding for 2,000 years. Every generation has had its hidden ones, the Gnostics, who preserved the inner teachings, the mystics, who chose direct experience over doctrine, the contemplatives who discovered God in silence rather than sermons. They were persecuted, burned as heretics driven underground, their books banned, their names erased from history, all because they carried the same truth you just experienced, that the kingdom of heaven is within, that you are the temple of the living God, that prayer is not performance, but embodiment. You are now part of that lineage. Whether you realize it or not, something has shifted in your consciousness. You can never unlearn what you now know. You can never revert to viewing prayer as begging a distant deity for favors. If you've reached this moment, it's because you are not like the masses. You were chosen to carry this hidden path, chosen to remember what the majority have forgotten, chosen to embody what religion has reduced to empty ritual. The world is entering a period of profound awakening. The old systems are collapsing. People everywhere are abandoning religious institutions that no longer nourish their souls. They're yearning for authentic spirituality. They're starving for direct encounter with the divine. And they're waiting for living prayers like you to illuminate the way, not through preaching or proselytizing, but through embodiment, through being so aligned with divine love that your very presence becomes a transmission of what's possible. So the question that remains is this: will you embrace this calling? Will you walk as the prayer you were born to be? Will you join the sacred rebellion of those who choose direct communion over religious performance? Because if you're prepared for that level of commitment, I have one final revelation that will seal this initiation and propel you into your true destiny as a living prayer. What I'm about to share with you has been the secret of every mystic, every saint, every individual who has ever lived in unbroken communion with the divine. There exists a prayer that isn't uttered with words. There exists a communion that requires no religious formula. There exists a way of being that transforms not only your relationship with God, but also your understanding of who God actually is. It's the prayer of recognition. The moment you cease searching for God out there and recognize God in here. Not as a belief, not as a concept, but as the living reality of your own deepest nature. Close your eyes one final time. Breathe deeply into the silence we've cultivated together. Now, in the deepest chamber of your being, without uttering any words, simply acknowledge the presence that has been witnessing this entire teaching. The awareness that has been aware of your thoughts, aware of your emotions, aware of your breathing, aware of your heartbeat. That awareness, pure, unchanging, ever-present, is not separate from the divine. That is the divine expressing itself as your unique perspective, your unrepeatable way of being conscious. You are not a separate being attempting to connect with God. You are God's way of experiencing this moment, this life, this reality. You are the divine dreaming of being human, while never ceasing to be divine. Rest in that recognition, not as something you need to attain, but as something you remember, something that has always been true and will always be true. We have reached the end of this chamber, but the true journey does not conclude here. What has been awakened within you today must be carried protected and nurtured, or it will fade back into the noise of the world. That is why our private sanctuary exists, our private Facebook group. It is the hidden gathering place where the scattered ones rediscover each other. Inside, the conversation continues, the fire remains lit, and the remembrance deepens with every soul that joins. You will find the doorway in the description and in the pinned comment. Step through, because no one awakens alone. And for those who are prepared to root these teachings even deeper, we have prepared sacred companions for the journey. These are not merely products in the worldly sense. They are keys, guides, and soul maps designed to anchor the awakening within your daily life, so that the flame you feel now does not flicker but grows stronger. Seekers who embrace them find that the path unfolds more rapidly, the codes unlock with greater clarity, and the kingdom within becomes not merely an idea but a living experience. The path is calling. The kingdom is within. Step through the doorway and do not walk alone. Until we meet again, remember the flame is inside you and it must be carried forward. 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 Forward.